In this video, we're going to work on the hamstrings. What's going to be my caption that comes up at the top or the bottom? I always use either release or unlock or free hamstrings. For me, it's release. That's the word that always comes to mind. So release the hamstrings is what we're going to do. Right. I would work barefoot. It's really important that we work barefoot whenever we can, because the whole posterior chain of the body, especially down the backs of the legs, all ends in the feet. So we really need to make sure we have that movement in the feet in order to help release the muscles through the backs of the legs. So I would definitely recommend working barefoot. Get grounded. Take a nice deep breath. First move is a good morning stretch. Good morning is really great for our form. We do it with our arms out like this, and we pivot or we hinge in the middle, and we keep our head up so that the spine remains straight. Resist the temptation to do this and arch the spine. You just want to settle into this, doing about 20 or 30 seconds in this position. And this is a passive stretch, so we're just bringing some relief into the hamstrings, opening them up, taking some nice deep breaths. Okay, good. Now from there, we're going to bring your hands down to your ankles, your shins. And we're just going to work one leg and then the other. This is more of an active stretch. So we're going to stretch one leg and flex the muscles in this leg. And then you're going to switch to the opposite leg and then flex. And we're going to do 5 on each side. 2. Really making sure that when you straighten one side, you flex the muscles. And it's the flexing and the movement between the stretch that keeps this active. One more. Good. And then when you come out, I always like to bend my knees first and then drive straight up out of the stretch. Give the legs a little bit of a shake. Take a nice deep breath. Okay, good. Okay, so the next stretch is going to be, again, more of a passive stretch. We're going to come into our forward fold, remembering to hinge here. So don't just lean forward. Hinge the tailbone back, pivot the tailbone back, coming down into our forward fold. And just hang for a moment so you can see where you have a natural hang. Let them stretch, let them open up. And then from there, we're going to bring our head forward, straighten the spine so that we're perpendicular with the ground, so it's like 90 degrees. And then we're going to push the arms down, looking forward. Then engage the hamstrings and the backs of the legs, pushing the arms down, looking forward. Trying to engage those legs. We're going to hold this one again for around 20 seconds. Pushing down, push that tailbone back. Okay, good. And now from there, bend the knees a little bit so that you take the pressure out of the legs, getting hold behind the calf, so on our shins, on our calves, behind our shins, getting hold there. Push the tailbone now right up into the air. You see I'm wiggling my hips a little bit. This just frees up my hips a little bit so that I can get into a deeper stretch. Knees are still bent, remember? And now we're going to pull our head in towards our knees. So we're going to really drive our head towards our knees, pushing the tailbone up in the air. This is going to really stretch this muscle right at the top, this insertion point of all our hamstrings here, right up before it gets to the glutes. So we've got bent knees, getting hold behind the backs of the legs. And then I'm going to pull my head into my knees. And then I'm going to start to straighten my legs a little bit. Pushing the tailbone up into the air. And again, holding this for like 15-20 seconds. Okay, good, and then bend the knees. And driving back up out. Give the legs a shake. Nice deep breath. Okay, good. Right, the next one we're going to do is we're going to do this with a wider stance. So we're going to do a wide stance. Doesn't have to be too wide. It's not really a box split that we're doing here. It's actually more of a standing pancake. So feet want to be facing forward. And then we're going to hinge forward. So we take a breath first. Hinge with the exhale. So the hinge is so important. We push the hips back, driving that tailbone up into the air. Keep the legs straight on this one. Bringing our chest down. Keep the form. Hinging as far as we can before we bring our arms down. And then we put our palms on the floor. Hinging in. And holding this position, remembering to take some nice breaths. So maybe you can release the stretch a little with the inhale. That's going to feed oxygen into the muscles. And with the exhale, dropping deeper into the stretch. Holding this position. Giving those legs a really good stretch. Again, 20 to 30 seconds. And then before we come out of this stretch, just pushing in as deep as you can. Good, and then relax, bend the knees. Bring up the chest, driving straight up out of the stretch. Okay, good. Give them a little shake. Okay, next we're going to do an animal crawl. Of course we are. This one is called high hips bear. This is probably, in my opinion, one of the best active stretches you can do for your hamstrings. Because we have the movement, and it's really good for our overall mobility. So it's good for also releasing the glutes, and really good for our shoulder mobility. So we're coming down into a crawling stance, so hands on the floor. And then the key, or what is important with this one, is that we keep the legs straight. So maybe your fingertips on the floor, maybe you've got to lean a little bit forward. Depending on how tight your hamstrings are, this might be a little bit difficult in the beginning. If that's the case, just bend the knees a little bit. If there's a little bit of a bend, that's fine in the beginning. But the form we're trying to achieve is we're trying to get a straight leg. We pull it forward like this so it touches our hand. So you can see when I'm doing this that every time I bring my leg forward, I'm getting this full stretch here because my hand and my foot are touching. Keep the leg straight. So it's this type of movement, it's this type of active movement that is really going to teach our body to change. For most of us, what's happened is we have spent too long sitting down. Not most of us, that's all of us. And so we've trained our hamstrings into a much shorter contracted position. And now we have to retrain them into a longer position. This high hips bear crawl does everything. So you can see the way that the whole body is moving and adapting. And the whole time the hamstrings getting a good stretch, but they're active, they're having to work, they're having to move, they're under load. So I would crawl around I would try and do at least 10-second hits, do that 3 times, and work up to crawling around for about a minute. I do this one 3 times a week, and sometimes if I wake up, which is often, and my hamstrings are tight, then high hips bear crawl is my go-to crawl. So we've crawled around for a minute, 2 or 3 minutes, and we're going to finish with our forward fold. So stretching shouldn't really be viewed as hitting targets or sort of measuring how good you are, because we're all built differently. So, you know, for some people it's going to be much easier to touch the toes than others. I, for example, have long arms, so it is a bit easier for me. But I think it's important to just see where we're at so that we can just sort of see if they're opening up, see if they're getting better. So we finish with our forward fold. And we use all the technique that we have just learned and opened up. It's all about this hinge here to start with. You can see the difference. If I just lean forward, this is really going to start pulling across here. But if I do that and tilt my tailbone away, then you can see that I can get half the hinge done. Half the fold is done before I even have to engage. So you want your feet quite close together but not touching. Hinging away as far as you can. Keep the chest forward maybe while you get down as far as you can. Keep going. You can move the hips a little bit just to settle into it. And then once you feel like you're close, I think to start with, for a lot of people, it's going to be fingertips, trying to get the fingertips to the floor. So work on that. Maybe you could have a raised block to start with. And little by little, if you practice this 3 or 4 times a week, daily even, then the body will change and adapt, and you will be able to get palms to the floor. Once you get this, we hold for 30 seconds. Okay, good. Bend the knees, driving up. Give them a shake. Nice deep breath in. There you go. One of many hamstring tutorials, I think. So yeah, thanks for watching.